this week is Teach Central America Week. It happens since 2019. It's happened every first full week of October. And so it's part of the Latin American Heritage Month, right? But really focusing on the diversity and beautiful cultures of Central America. What we're specifically going to be showcasing today is preserving Central American legacy and culture in Los Angeles. And so we'll have an opportunity to hear from the different panelists and guest speakers, and their bios are the two green ones. And so I'm going to actually have Dr. Ochoa kick us off. And the question all of us are answering is, how does your work help preserve the legacy and culture of Central Americans in Los Angeles?
It's great to be here. I'm Enrique Ochoa. I teach history and Latin American studies. I've been here 30 years. This is my 30th year here. My roots to Cal State LA go much deeper. My father, who migrated from Nicaragua in 1950, and my Sicilian mother, who migrated from New York, right, met here in 1963. So Cal State LA is part of my origin story, and it's an exciting place to be. Again, growing up, as a Nicaraguense, growing up in the San Gabriel Valley in the 1970s, other than in my grandmother's living room, at her table, eating nacatamales, other than that, I never heard about Nicaragua in K through 12 schools. When I raised it, right, there was a quick think, oh, that's in Africa, right? Nigeria, right? That was very common among the teachers and the students, and that erasure that ran so deeply, so much so that really, other than learning it after, and I always go back to Jose Coronel Urtecho, the Nicaraguense poet, always talks about learning to be American in his grandparents' house in Nicaragua, because they were so closely tied to the U.S., as most Nicaraguans were of that class, because of U.S. intervention, U.S. imperialism. Right? It kind of works the opposite. I became Central American in part there. Also, the other major part was right through the Central American Solidarity movement and the struggles and to get U.S. intervention. As a student, that kind of raised my awareness further. My awareness was raised a little further when I went. Why am I confessing this? When I went to West Point for 6 months as a West Point cadet, and I began to quickly realize I was there and I was being trained to go to Central America because it was 1982. And luckily I flunked out. And they didn't want to keep me in because of my poor writing that was about Cuba and the Cuban Revolution. I was supposed to write about duty, honor, God, and country. Good. All right. So then coming back and going to school, and right, I was being raised during the beginning of the Nicaraguan Revolution, and heard a lot about my family's involvement. And so for me, I couldn't find many places in the university to learn and study about it other than in history, in Latin American history. Chicano studies wanted nothing to do with it. And there was no really other place. And so when I got here to Cal State LA, right, I had been trained in Mexican history because I was told very directly, don't study Central American history. No one knows about that. And you're not going to get a job, right? Very directly. So I did Mexico because, of course, I was raised in the second city of Mexicanos, right, LA. And then when I got here, right, it was exciting because I was coming to a place that I long knew about. Right, Cal State LA was a place where there was a lot of Central American activism coming out of Latin American studies, even in the 1960s, right? In the 1970s, faculty in the Marxist faculty coming out of working in Latin American studies worked closely with the community, worked as well with students, Salvadoran students, Guatemalteco students, who were also organizing, right, and began to be active in the community, and then bring spaces using the campus resources to create, right, this was the Lagos Conference at Cal State LA, the Latin American Los Angeles Group for Latin American Solidarity, that brought in 1978 Central American neo-colonialism and prospects for change, and brought all the rectors all the presidents of the Central American universities there, some of the leading left-wing intellectuals, and also brought several of the members of the revolutionaries, or members of Los Doce in Nicaragua, who were intellectuals, who were alive at the revolution, together. Several of them were here at the time before the offensive. There was a long, and it was closely connected to, right, community organizers in the Salvadoran community were there. It was a kind of a broad connection of community, of struggle, of the university, and really being driven by the knowledges and what the students were bringing in, and the connection to the community, right? And that's in many ways what Latin American Studies has been here. We're on our 65th anniversary. We're commemorating, and Central American Studies is oftentimes when it's discussed, the origin stories, right, of it are oftentimes not referred to as Cal State LA, but of course there are multiple genealogies clearly of these groups, of these movements. It's important to understand and respect the multiple genealogies, but Cal State LA is a place, right, where Central American students have long been organizing with faculty and students. There's a couple of examples here. In 2000, Rigoberta Menchú here was here at the student union. They put her in a room that fits 200 people, and of course 500 came. So we had to actually take over the whole student union. She spoke from the top, and everyone was down below in the hallways out there. Conference we did in '99. One of the early kind of discussions by Central American scholars talking about Central Americans in LA, 1999. That's Nora Hamilton, excuse me, from USC, Roberto Lovato, and Esther Hernandez, Professor Hernandez, right, my dear colleague who's not here this semester, and we'll be back soon. Early on, right, connecting the community to the academic. Students on their own have taken that on, and of course the struggle continues. The Liberated Futures Conference, the Central American, by and large Central American students, right, took on and created and excited, and of course other community stuff there. Some of the early defining even reflections, right, on Central American studies by Beth Baker, Esther Hernandez, who together created the second minor in Central American Studies here. And then later on, right, my colleague and our former student, Cal State LA alum, Alex Villalpando and Lacey Abrego, right, an important essay about racialization of Central Americans. Anyway, so again, there's that long history. We're excited to have you all here. We're excited by the exciting work going on in the archives and the community stuff. So with that, I will stop, since my timer says to stop. And I will then turn it over to Alex.
All